it's Miss Amy. I'm back again with more how-tos for Halloween. So this one is a great one for both the adult and the child to do in part together. But today we're making our own eyeballs. So you can see I have a whole jar of them here, but they're great because they're creepy if you happen to have a jar to put them in for decor, like I do. Now this just happens to be a big jar because that's what I had, was a giant jar. Whereas you might have a smaller jar, you might just wash out a jelly jar to put them in. But I like Halloween decorations, and I like decorating with things that I make myself. So one application is putting them into a giant jar. Another one, and I'll show you how to do this as well, is to make them into eyeball lights that can act as night lights or just as a creepy decoration around the house. And the last thing you can do with them is you can take them and hide them around the house, like in the cat bed or in the mailbox or in Dad's desk drawer. And grown-ups, you may use them as a scavenger hunt kind of thing, and, you know, award prizes based on who finds the most eyeballs. So, as you can see, I have eyeballs in various assorted colors of eye. I chose mainly natural colors because I'm doing kind of more human-looking eyeballs. If you choose to do research as to what the pupil or the black part of the eye looks like for other animals like cats and lizards and stuff, you can go a little bit crazier with your colors, because cats have like bright yellow eyes and orange eyes, whereas the people just don't have that color naturally unless they've got a colored contact in. Your supplies that you will need: Sharpie/permanent markers of all sorts of colors. You will want to make sure that you have one black one. And I have the extra fine tip red marker for the veining of the eyes, because I have found that my eyeballs look way more realistic when they have the veining around them. Most important of your supplies is the ping pong ball. That's all this is a ping pong ball. We've got our ping pong ball. And I've got my black marker. So the very first step is to draw a black circle in the middle of your ping pong ball someplace. I usually like to try to find where the seam is and draw it so that the seam is going in the same direction as my circle, so I'm not cutting across the seam. So now I've got a ping pong ball with a blue or a black dot in the middle. Okay, so the next step is to choose a color for your eyeball. So I'm going to go with one of my greens, because I do like my green eyeballs. Okay, and I'm going to kind of trace a circle around the outside edge. Okay. And honestly, if you've got your hand on a table, it holds it a little bit more steady than if you don't. And you can make your green area as big or as small as you want. You can, or your colored area, the iris of the eye. Or you can make it big, small, you can make it perfectly symmetrical, or you can make it slightly lopsided, because everybody's eye is different. So once you get that initial circle drawn on, that's when you're going to sit and color in all of that color. And it really doesn't matter if it looks kind of odd to you because the marker is leaving like these weird overlap lines. Because what I will say is go to a mirror and look at your eye very, very closely. Even if you have dark brown eyes, your eyes are not a uniform color all the way through. If you look closely enough. So like I have blue eyes, but they're blue-green hazel. So I've got a little bit of green, I got a little bit of brown, I got a little bit of everything in my eyes. And so the colors are not flat through your eye. So it actually makes it look slightly more realistic to have all those lines going on in the pattern of the color than it does if it's just one flat color that doesn't change. Okay. So once you have all of your color colored in, it's time to put the veining on. So there's actually two ways to do the veining. And one way is very stereotypical and comes across very symmetrical and very pattern-like. And the other way comes across a little bit more natural and is a little bit more haphazard, and can make it look a little bit more like that really irritated eye. The thing is that, it's up to you and how you want to draw in order to come across those patterns that work for you. Whether you want there goes one of my ping pong balls. Whether you want something that's more symmetrical in its appearance, if you want something that's a little bit more stereotypical, like these two examples, or if you want something that's a little bit more natural, a little bit more haphazard, and really, while the older kids can do the iris and the pupil of the ping pong ball, of the eyeball, your little ones can start to help you with the veining. So it just depends on how you want to do it. So we'll put down an eyeball here on the table. And I've got my red marker. And I'm just going to, for the more natural veining, I'm just going to start drawing and scribbling back and forth along the side of the eyeball. And like I said, this particular one is a little bit looser, but you're getting more of that red color throughout. It looks more like something has really, really irritated that eyeball compared to the more stereotypical drawing, which is actually a little bit harder to do sometimes because you're trying to be so perfect on what you're going for and where you're going. And it takes more time to do, actually. So, but be creative with it. Be artistic with those lines. All of that is great stuff to do. So, I've got all these eyeballs that I still have to finish preparing. But now that we've got an eyeball that has more veining on it, I'm going to teach you how to make the night lights because those are a little bit harder. What these are the eyeball, okay, and it is on top of one of these flicker lights, the LED tea light candles. You can get them in white or yellow lights. I got yellow. That's what I had at my house. And they look okay, but they change the color of the eyeball. If you have a white light, it's not going to change the eyeball color as much. But then you turn on the tea light and you pop the eyeball on top and it flickers like a nightlight. So how do you get the eyeball to go on top? Because, you can't just take your ping pong ball and put it on top of the tea light. It doesn't work. This is where only adults can do this portion. Okay? This is the dangerous part. X-Acto knife. Box cutter. I happen to have a really cool one that has a switch on it that retracts automatically when you let it go, which is a little safer than the one that's always popped out because I don't have to worry about whether my blade is sticking out, and I've left it on the table where a small one can grab it. So when you're making your eyeball tea light, you want to think about what direction you want the eyeball pointing. If you want it pointing straight ahead, you'll be cutting more right underneath the color of the iris. If you want it pointing up more, you're going to be cutting a little bit further behind on the back side of all of your drawing. Okay, so I'm going to use my blade here, and I'm actually just going to make a small piercing into the ping pong ball. Okay, you probably can't see that too well, but then I'm going to make a small cross cut onto that main cut that I made so that it can be pushed in to the ping pong ball. And now all I have to do is insert the light until the eyeball hits the base. And then I turn it on, and it is a glowing eyeball. Okay, so that's my glowing eyeball, and we'll put him back here with all of his buddies. And now I have a collection of eyeballs that are glow in the dark that I can set up around the house to be kind of spooky. I put them out on the front porch, in the mailbox, scare the mail person. But again, they all are in good fun. And you can have the kids help you actually make all of these colored ping pong balls. And then you as the adult get to decide if they're going into a giant jar, like I have, or even a small jar, or if they are going into a hide and seek game, or if they are becoming nightlights. But I hope you have lots of fun making and designing your own eyeballs. I discovered I have a skill in making eyeballs if I ever lose this librarian gig. So have a happy Halloween, everybody, and we'll have a couple of more videos coming in the next week.